more muscle. Just started a video series on my training, just to give you an insight on what I actually do on myself. It kind of goes along with the question and answers kind of vlogs that we've been doing. And yeah, it just gives you a little insight on what I'm doing on myself, and you might be interested to see. I'll obviously go through what I'm doing, explain why, and yeah, that might help you with some of the stuff that you might get up to in the gym. And it's a good little insight for you guys to see that I'm actually human, and some of the things that I do in the weight room need improving also. It's also a good little eye-opener for me to have a little look and critique myself. So yeah, enjoy, and you'll be seeing more of these kind of videos. So today's session is a posterior chain workout. Lots of pulling from the floor to begin with. So here's my mobility style warm-up that I'm going through. As you can see in the video at the moment, I am rolling my plantar fascias, the underneath of my feet. I find these are a great way to open up the fascial lines of our body. As we know, our fascia is a connective tissue that runs around the whole of the body, around all our muscles, and it's one big spider web that connects. I find by rolling the plantar fascias that it helps me get down in the depths of when I need to go down in the position of a deadlift or a squat. It helps open up my mobility slightly and helps me with my ankle mobility first and foremost. So as you can see now, I'm mobilizing my ankle joints from years of playing football. I don't have the best ankle mobility, so just warming up the anterior tibs and the gastroc areas around the ankle play a big part on helping me move better when I go into my heavier lifts later down the line of this workout. Then move on to a T-spine mobilization using my foam roller in the thoracic region, and it's just extension, flexion, extension, flexion, just opening up areas of the body that tend to get locked up, especially us guys who like to do a lot of anterior work in the gym. It's important to get that moving again so that we can really engage our posteriors when we go into our workouts. So yeah, just opening and closing, nice and simple. And as you can see, I'm now moving into it's like a lying windmill. I got this exercise from Eric Creasy, just through watching his blogs really. It's just mobilizing the shoulder joint, opening up the pectoral region, which will again have a big transfer over to the retraction needed for, as you're going to see, me going into the deadlift. The purpose of bringing the leg over is just to help open the anterior slings, posterior slings. We work rotationally also. It's not just flexion extension work. There is a lot of torque and rotational force going through us when we deadlift and squat. It's important to open up those lines. So that's what I'm doing now. My earphones keep coming in and out and I just smashed my hat. So yeah, that's what I'm really doing there. Opening those kind of things up. Today's workout starts off with a 5x5 on a deadlift. I'm currently 8 weeks into a cut down, a shred. I've got another 8 weeks till I go and do our On Point fitness retreat in Cyprus. So one of the main goals here is just keeping the strength up as much as it can while we start dieting down, so we don't sacrifice too much muscle tissue. So going into a little bit more thoracic work here, really opening up things in this area. I like this exercise. It's really simple, and it just helps me move the pelvic area in the thoracic. And then going into a few others, so just helping myself stack the shoulder, and more rotational work. And then just opening up, again rotational, opening up things like the lats, opening and closing the thoracic area. And just really working on the rotational element of moving is something that we really forget about in the gym environment. Something I commonly see forgotten. And often when I get lazy, it's something that I tend to forget. So yeah, really forcing myself to work on the rotational aspects of movement, just playing around with different grips here.
and stretching out as much as I can through the top end of my body right down to the bottom. Trying to really open myself up because I really want good retractions when I'm going into my deadlift. I'm going to pull pretty heavy for me today, so it's a much needed element. Here I'm just driving my feet into the floor again, opening up my anterior tibs. That's a muscle that runs through the front of the lower limb. It's something that again gets jammed up, locked up. And again, working through my fascial lines, just opening things up rotationally. Different things here. They'll open up anterior, posterior, front and back, but you get a lot of adductor going on here. So again, it's, you know, opening up the slings that often are shut down rotationally. And they're really simple things. I mean, a lot of these movements transfer in yoga. As you can see, I'm not the most flexible, but it's a work in progress. And understanding it is the first thing, and then you can go and develop upon it. I like these side windmills that you're about to see now. Again, help open up, you know, things like the QL, obliques, lats, and also show with this slight dysfunction in my body. You can see that there's a lot more room for flexibility to open up, and you can see where the hip wants to collapse in. So there's huge indications on me just watching it back, you know, because when you're doing it, it feels a lot more open than what it's showing in the video. It gives me a little more indication on how I may program in the future. So going into a little bit more extensions, it's really opening up my anterior all the way through. I keep mentioning that fascial lines is a word, but something that is really important is understanding that things work in a connective way. It's not isolated. So looking to open the body up in one chain is important. These extensions can again be better. You can see where, you know, I'm inhibited through the hip area, through the pectoral area being commonly tight on guys. The same for me. Again, this rotational movement drill is to open up anterior, everything in the front, pecs, hips, and help activate things behind me. It's also a great one when you're looking to open up the forearm. So I like doing this when I front squat, although I'm not going to do that today. Here you Jack playing with the ball. But yeah, good exercises. I recommend people do these in their warm-ups. So again, just mobilizing my hips, rotation, like this one for like periphemoris and the external rotators of the hip, while still opening up the pectoral and upper body regions of the anterior. Just really getting ready for my first warm-up sets of my deadlift. This session typically starts with a 5x5 deadlift. I'm going to look to do 2 top sets, you'll see, and then see how I go through. I then have a leg curl, 4 sets of leg curls, 4 sets of 6 to 8 leg curls, which are not shown in the video. And I move on to some good mornings. So a lot of posterior, a lot of hip area, a little bit of knee flexion work, and then I have 2 exercises at the end that help decompress the lower spine, because there's going to be a lot of load through the lower back. Core-based accessory exercises to help me move forward in the future. Just again working through the rotation, as you can see, there's a lot of room for me to improve upon my rotational slings. Yeah. So first warm-up set, going to pull the deadlift off the floor, conventional deadlift, clean grip. Wearing my weightlifting shoes, I just find it gives me a little bit more stability, as my ankle area is not the greatest. I can hit the position slightly better. But yeah, just warming up with a warm-up load of 100 kilos on the bar. Nothing too heavy, just pulling the positions, getting things right. Couple reps and moving on to, you know, a few more warm-up weights before I hit my top sets. So just slamming an extra 30 kilos on. And yeah, and we'll continue just doing a few more warm-up sets. It's really important, firing up the neural system, firing up the muscles, and just finding my positioning before we start getting too heavy. And if you're someone like myself who has a few flexibility issues, it's also a nice time to play about with what's kind of pinching here and there. I felt pretty good today, pulled really well, and the warm-up sets felt really good. So here's my 130, picking it up pretty simple. I haven't got my belt on, I haven't got no straps on, just focusing on getting my body in a nice position. Could do with a little bit more retraction here and there. Where I've been training for quite a long time, my body can kind of get away with a few little niggles. We can just go away and work on those in other sessions. So just slamming on another 20 odd kilo on the bar, working towards my weights. 150 on the bar, I think now. Again, getting closer to that first set. Still no. Think I'm going to go and get my weightlifting belt now. And come and pick this one up for a last kind of warm-up set. Yeah, weightlifting belt goes on. Just waiting to see if I've got any straps on. No, I think I'm going to pick this one up with no straps. So weightlifting belt back on. Reason for that, one, mentally it helps me lift. It also, studies have shown that you can press against your belt and it helps with intra pressure in the abdominal region, so it's actually good for helping you strengthen your core. But yeah, I like to warm up without it, and then as I get closer to those rep maxes, put it on, because again, it's another mechanism that the body needs to get used to neurally. So yeah, I slam that on, start picking up a few warm-up sets before we really get into what we're doing. So everything CNS based, start switching on to what we're actually going to train for on that day. And as I said, the main focus of this cycle is keeping my weight as high as I can throughout the dieting period, because it will drop, there will be a drop off, but prolonging it as far as I can would be great, especially for that muscle tissue that we work so hard to get gain. We don't want to be losing that easy. So not such a big volume based session, looking at keeping those intensities high. And yeah, going to start picking up. Straps are going on now. Shoved an extra 40 kilos on. Well, yeah, another 40 kilos on. Took the 10s off and put 40 on. About to pick it up. Psyching myself up. Getting the straps on, they can be fiddly. I think I picked this up for a couple reps. Get the belt ready. I mean, it's something that we often find when we're doing these things is that the way you feel in the day can often hinder your percentages. We're working off percentages, but today I woke up at 4:15 a.m. to start work at 6:30. You can have days where you feel lethargic and it affects your intensities. Today wasn't one of those days. I felt decent. So yeah, that was my last warm-up set. I think there's on the bar, it's 100, 130, 170 kilos. Pick that up for one. And then I'll stick on the 2 greens, the 2 10s each side, and I'll start my top first set for 5x5, or 5 reps rather, first set, with that load on it. As I said, I felt really good today. It's quite surprising. Usually on a Tuesday, I'm in very early, doing 2 or 3 clients in the AM. Then I have a little gap to myself for a couple hours where I'll get this session done, and then clients come in again when I'm done with this session. But it is quite common to feel lethargic. Today I felt great, so pretty happy with what I pulled from the floor today. The 190 is going on now. I'll be setting myself up, and then I'll go and I'll pick it up. Felt good, no niggles, nothing really niggling at all lately in these cycles. I feel good. It's the first time in a long time also that I felt very good dieting down. I don't diet down often. It's not a big part of my life. It's not something I'm really bothered about, to be honest. I'm happy keeping a good shape, a good health, but having the retreat there on the beach, it makes sense to me to look great. And it also gives you a little bit of focus and direction for a little period of time. Head screwed on. So yeah, about to pick up this deadlift. Feeling pretty solid. Something that doesn't play a great part is our flooring is not completely straight, but you work with what you got, kind of thing. Something to notice just watching it back, watch the left knee. Just loves a little coming. That's the left knee that I tore a little bit of my cartilage on playing football. There is a weakness there, and if you watch some of our videos, I talk about the value of unilateral work. I am doing a lot of unilateral work in other cycles and other periods, but again, it shows on the bigger lifts where my weakness is, where I leak energy. Here's the second top set of 190, getting done now. I've had my 3 to 5 minute break. I had 5 minutes actually today in between all of them. It's needed. Recovery is something that we often neglect, and at the end of the day, if you want to hit your top sets, you must recover. So yeah, I had my 5 minutes set up, going back into another set of 5 with 190. This is my second and my final top set. The intensity's dropped off incrementally, a few percentages from this point, but really happy with my 2 top sets at 190. Things are improving and cutting down on energy with food. But as you can see, just watching it back, it's the first time I've watched something like this back in a long while. The leak in energy is coming from that left side of the body. And yeah, if you watched our videos on unilateral work, if you can balance out those things, you'd be picking more than the 190 up. I'd be picking more on the 190 up because I'd have a more wholesome strength output. So yeah, I've just dropped off the 190. I think there's 185 on this bar, so it's just a little percentage down. But for a third set to pick this up for another 5, I'm pretty happy with this. And form is not the worst. It can be better. There is lots of room for improvement, and it's something that we can improve on. And more particularly for myself, being able to retract better will help me pick up better positions. But being a sportsman and someone who's come from a sporting background, the body always tells a story, and just looking at myself now is so interesting. I've not ever really looked, well I have, but not for a while, at these kind of things, just what you see in the mirror and stuff when you're working out. Where my chain leaks, and it tells a huge story on my sporting career kind of thing, where the injuries were and where my output leaks. It's very left-sided, and when I think about it, my left side was always my stability side, the side that I'd stand on, because I'm right-footed. I'd kick with my right. My right would always be stronger, but my left would be the one that gets clattered. So yeah, it tells you a story. Just going into, I think this is set 4 now. We're down at 181, and then the last set I think I picked 180. We'll have a look. But yeah, I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased with it. It's come on in the last 2 weeks. I know this is the first time you guys are going to get a chance to have a look at it, but I keep reiterating, for someone who is dieting, it's really good that this is going up. And it'd be interesting to see what we can do if I reverse out of it after Cyprus and start eating towards my maintenance and a little bit higher, on how we can improve it. But aside from energy balance, I think just fixing these little single leg issues, single arm issues, unilateral issues will have a big impact on my overall strength output. This will be the final set at 180. So I'm pretty pleased with it, you know, a 190, 190, a 185, a 181, 0.5, then a 180 over 5x5 sets. Good 25 reps pulled out of the blocks. On a day that I was up at 4:15 a.m. You know, it's now 4 p.m. and I'm speaking to the computer, assessing my session, and yeah, it's quite pleasing actually. It'll be good to see what happens in the next session of this cycle, in this cycle rather. It would be my deload week, so we won't be going and chasing things so much, but there'll be a drop off in volume, so that'll hopefully help increase on intensity slightly. Yeah. Sandwiched in between these good mornings that you're about to see were 4 sets of 6 to 8 leg curls. I didn't film them, but yeah, going into my sets of 4, 8 to 10, 4 by 8 to 10 good mornings. This is my first set, and it was apparent to me straight away that the bar placement wasn't quite right. It's more apparent now that I'm looking back at it. There's a slight rotation towards the left, kind of fixes out as the reps go on, but it's something that has an impact on everything. You can see slight flexion through the torso having an impact, so it's nice to view back on the camera. I had it on the tripod and viewed it back and fixed it up straight away in this set, so you'll see that now, better bar placement and better torso placement as a result of it. I really like standing good mornings. It's a very good posterior chain enhancer. Really good to help my hip area and improve on my strength. It's a good accessory exercise for my deadlift. So 2 finishing exercises I have are 45-degree back extensions, but I kind of play on it to suit me. I like doing them in this manner. To decompress the spine, I use them as a kind of a stretch through the lower back and through all the fascia behind me. And as you will see in the gar hammer raises that I do after this, I use them for the same reason. So I go down into the stretch, but I don't initiate any movement from the back. It's a straight pull from the glutes. So once I'm down in that position, squeeze the glutes, pull myself back up. I just like the stretch where it decompresses the back. I find it's a nice stretch on the back of doing the 5x5s and good mornings. Yeah, there are slight arches in my thoracic region, but I'm doing that on purpose to get that little bit more stretch in the lower back. And then these gar hammer raises are a good accessory for the core, initiating the movement through the hips rather than, you know, lifting from the quads. And it tends to release my lower back when I've loaded it with so much load. So there are 2 exercises that I like pairing at the end of a kind of thing like this to enhance on releasing my lower back.